We are rolling, guys.
Hey,
How's it going?
hey.
Look at us.
Hello, hello.
Jamie. Hello,
Hello.
hello. So we have with us today Brandon and Lindsey Charles. Woohoo!
Well,
How are
thank
y'all
you,
doing?
thank you, thank you.
Um,
Woo.
so so y'all look like you have the same background. Brandon took all the professional lights and put on himself. He's got Lindsey,
And
right?
wait, I want to know about the flowers. Tell me about the flowers.
Oh yes.
We celebrated 8 years on the
Yay.
25th.
Come
Yeah,
on.
8 years.
8 years.
That's
8 years.
awesome.
Yes.
And if you multiply that times four, now you're still 3 years shy of how long this old couple has been married.
Life,
Look at this.
life goals, life goals.
Yeah.
I
And I got
love
to
it.
show this off. How about this? Woo!
Yeah,
Woo!
Wow.
get them.
Get them, get them. Well, we are excited, man. We can't wait to get into this. It's the coolest story. We met you guys in
Yeah, I
South
know.
Lake at our XO mediation training. And so
Yes.
we heard about this through Dave and Janet Tatum, and Janet really said, "Man, you guys would love. I think this could be something that could be such a cool tool for your tool belt as you guys launch into long haul marriage." And so, and it's not when people hear mediation, they think immediately divorce, right?
Right,
And
right.
this is marriage reconciliation mediation training. And so we did this practicum with a really cool couple, Randy and Debbie Stroman, and that comes into play later.
Yeah.
So, and then we did our in-person training, and we went to the Exo Marriage Institute, and we were sitting there, and you know how they do the little, name tents, and they assign you seats at a table. And Jamie and I walk in, we didn't know anybody there. And we look around and we're like, okay, who are these randos at our table here? Who's this Brandon and Lindsey, And so, and y'all are thinking the same thing. You're thinking they let old people like this
Yeah,
We're
like
in?
what?
old
What?
people.
They just let anybody walk in the doors.
Yeah.
So we sit down. So first of all, tell us where you're from, and then what brought you to the marriage mediation training.
Yeah. You want to tell them, Lindsay?
Yes, we are from Bentonville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah,
Come on.
we went through a mediation in August 2022. And I've kind of had a heart to actually be a mediator since then. We went to the EXO conference last year in 2024, and since that's really when it kicked off that I wanted to do mediation, and so
And I'm going to do this a lot, Lindsey. I'll probably interrupt. So you guys went to the EXO Marriage Conference. You'd heard about it, and you thought, we want to go and see what this conference is all about, and maybe, give it our marriage a little shot in the arm. You went to the EXO conference, and then you heard about marriage mediation, right? Is that where you heard?
Backwards.
Flip that. Yeah, flip that.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! You went to you went through mediation, and then you heard about the conference through. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
wow. Okay, you learn something new every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys went through mediation, and who was the couple who took you guys through the mediation?
Randy and Debbie.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Randy and Debbie Stroman were
Yeah.
the couple that took you guys through that. Yeah.
We were struggling in our marriage, and an amazing couple from our church, who Lindsay was doing some volunteer work in Life
Hmm.
Kids Life Church here in Rogers, Arkansas, and
Okay.
Miss Kay is very close with Debbie Stroman, and she
Cool.
was talking with Lindsay and said, "You guys should give this a try." I
Mhm.
believe that's how that
Yeah.
conversation went. And
Mhm.
it was Brian, it was one of those God things where I was completely against it. I was
Mm.
had no interest at all.
Yeah.
Lindsay was fighting uh, with all of her might for our
Yeah.
marriage, and I had all but just like given up on everything.
Mm.
Okay.
Um, so she actually scheduled our what that little 1 hour phone
The
call
phone call,
before.
yeah.
Yep. The
So
screening call.
Lindsey, real quick, where did you hear about the mediation? It was from the person at your church? I mean,
Okay.
she told you.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Okay. So thank you, Kay. Gotcha.
Yes, thank you,
Exactly.
Kay, for sure.
Mhm.
Shout out to Kay.
And
Uh,
so you were dragged kicking and screaming. You didn't even
I
know
was,
about it. So Lindsey
yeah.
says, I'm going to throw out a Hail Mary. She's praying about it. She schedules it and thinks, okay, now how do I tell? So how did that conversation go, Lindsey? How did you tell your husband that he was going to a mediation?
Well, we were probably 2 weeks into complete silence in the house, and I was
Wow.
just
Yeah.
like, "Hey," I think I called him at work one day and said, "Hey, I scheduled a Zoom call. If you'll hop on it, we're gonna do some mediation. If you'll
That's
join."
awesome.
Exactly.
And so he reluctantly
So
joined the call.
at the time you had been married, what, 6.5, 7 years? Is
Yeah.
that
Yes.
right? Okay. And so, and you said you'd been struggling. How long had you been struggling to get to the point where it was like hardly even speaking,
Lindsey knows us
where
better.
you'd just withdrawn? Yeah.
This is the record of wrongs.
Yeah. I asked you. You weren't keeping a record. Now you're having to go search. You'd already burned this, right?
Right.
We struggled probably our first 4 years pretty heavily. And then that was 22. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty heavily our first 4 years. We had some good times, but pretty heavily struggled in the very beginning. I mean, I guess for years. Kind of just kept stuff in the dark that needed to be brought to light, but we just kept stuffing it, and it finally was brought to a head, and it was needed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we joke about like a Hail Mary, but truly, and this is what I think so many couples, it catches them by surprise. So when I do premarital counseling with couples, I tell them all the time, don't be surprised if you think, people hear sometimes, oh, the first year's the toughest year. Man, if the first year is toughest, then that means 2 and 3 and 4, they're going to be tough. It's like, and sometimes you think right off the bat, like, oh crap, I've made a mistake. You've heard our story. It's like, man, I've married the wrong person. Like, what is this? And you lose hope and you start to think, man, we can't fix this. And it's devastating. And the last thing you really want to do is like talk about that. And so it's hard to reach out. So many times we just kind of suffer silently because of kind of shame. You don't want to admit maybe to yourself or to anyone else that, shit, excuse my friends, we're like, I can't say that. I'll cut that out. But we made a mistake, So, okay. So, Kay, you talked to Kay, you scheduled the deal, and then how'd that conversation go with Brandon?
Oh, I was pretty quiet, wasn't I?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
really kind of just what's even more awkward is it was a Zoom call, so we're on video and we're sitting in my truck. We meet at the kids' daycare and we're sitting in my truck and I'm just kind of sitting there
Talking to strangers.
like
Yeah.
I have no clue what this is. Lindsey scheduled this and just asked me to show up. And I'm just, it's kind of caught out of left field on me. And so I didn't there was a lot of pride there. I was very, very, very prideful.
Were you mad?
Probably
Like, did
angry.
did you feel ambushed? Yeah.
There was a little bit of anger. And, I don't even know if it was about the situation. I think it's just, that whole season of our marriage and not even angry at Lindsey. I think it was, more so shame on my part where I'm the man in the relationship. I'm supposed to be this leader, and she's the one that's leading us on trying to save our marriage. And I don't have the kahunas to do it myself, right? And my wife is the one taking the lead. And so I think there was a lot of pride issue there for me and shame, right?
Yeah.
Anger is a secondary emotion, right? So from those other negative emotions that I had, anger is what is being seen. So
Yeah. So, and it's obviously here we sit, and I can't wait for people to hear this entire testimony. But so when we walk into the marriage mediation training, here you guys are sat with us, and we hear your testimony. You had actually gone through it, and because of what it did to your marriage, I mean, it saved your marriage, it changed your
Mhm.
lives and
100%.
your destiny, the destiny of your kids, the legacy that we're
Wow.
all about. And now you wanted to go get trained so that
Mhm.
you could pay it forward and share this with the world, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and so yeah, so I want to go back to then. Let's talk about the when you show up. Uh, how was the first, let's say, few minutes or maybe the first hour of that mediation? Did it take a while to warm up to the Stromans, or did they put you at ease very quickly? Like, just tell me how that went. Yeah.
I think before that though, Brian, there's a lot of homework to do beforehand that leads up.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's videos you have to watch. There's a book you have to read.
Yeah,
There's
21
there
days. Yep.
Yeah, 21 days of inner healing. There's a letter that you have to write to your spouse.
Mhm.
Um, and in that homework, I would say is when the change starts. Like
Mm,
I went kicking and screaming and wasn't interested in it. And maybe that's the wrong word, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to put the work in.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of shame, and I just felt like walking away. It was probably easier in my mind just to walk away than to work at this, right?
yeah.
Um, but the homework is where the change started. And so walking into there to answer your question though, the Stromans are amazing, amazing
Hmm.
people. And
Hey, hey to Randy and Debbie.
right,
Yes.
hey, hey. But yeah, that they have a very special place in our heart,
Mm,
and we've have the highest respect for them. But yeah, it didn't take any time at all for us to really warm up to them. And ironically, even though in our hour pre-call screening call, I sat there with an attitude and a chip on my shoulder and so quiet. Um,
mm, mm,
by the time we were on our road trip down to Dallas, Lindsey and I, we weren't fixed by any stretch of the imagination, but we were conversating. Um,
mm,
we had actually listened to a few videos on the way down, and God had already began a great work in us just with the homework and the pre-work
Mhm.
that you do beforehand.
yeah.
And the whole meeting before, like the meeting started off just,
Yeah.
I feel like it started off amazingly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you bring up a good point. What's interesting, and I don't want to spoil it for this is going to be a huge commercial for actually the mediation that we're all going to be doing and walking
Mhm.
couples through. Matter of fact, Jamie and I just scheduled our first official one today.
oh yes,
Yeah.
that's
It's going to
awesome.
be we're all traveling down to the hill country. We're going to do it down there. But
Great.
yeah, so we're really excited. But so I don't want to spoil everything, but for the couples who are actually going to go through it, but the letter. So I'm not going to talk about the prompts or the
Yep.
contents of the letter, but writing a letter to your spouse. Like
Oh man.
there's no way you can sit down and go through that exercise. I mean, well, I was without it like majorly affecting your heart and
Yeah.
possibly, as it did in your case, opening your heart back up. So
Yeah.
many times I'll be talking to couples and I'll just think there's so much unforgiveness and so much resentment. And again, we've been there, right?
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
like, what attracted you to them in the first place? What did you fall in love with? Like,
Yeah.
who were they? Right? At some point, you guys got married and many times had kids. So was there anything redeemable about that person? And they haven't remembered that. So it's like, what made you fall in love? And I'll just ask that. And sometimes they'll start talking about that, and I'll see it's like immediately stuff starts to just almost like the scales fall from your
Mhm.
eyes or maybe the cotton out of your ears, if you will.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'll hear and I'll watch a spouse just kind of look in like this incredulous look at like, when's the last time, like I haven't heard that. And I'll say, when's the last time you told your spouse that? And
Yeah.
Mhm.
they'll just sit there and many times the tears come. It's like, I mean, it's been years since I've actually been reminded of why I love this person. And the
Mhm.
person hadn't heard it. And so the letter is a very, very smart way to start this deal.
It is.
So yeah, go ahead.
And XO the way that you mentioned the prompts, the intentionality that you have to put into and the questions you have to answer and the things that you get to say um, are the key. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not just trying to put pen to paper and think of something to write to your spouse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There is a very
It's
intentional
very, yeah. So
And it wrecks you.
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Had y'all done conventional marriage counseling before this? Had y'all ever gone to see a marriage therapist or a marriage counselor or a pastor? Okay.
We did, yeah.
Okay.
So ironically, I was seeing a counselor um, at the time, and we had kind of finished what we were originally doing, and Lindsey, ironically, at the time, like the
Hmm.
the timing worked out to
Piggyback, yeah.
where she kind of just piggybacked that whole session that I was in and just kind of came in and said, "Let's talk about marriage."
Okay.
And this it wasn't even her forte, this
Hmm.
counselor's forte,
Hmm.
but it was good. We had some good sessions. We had some rough sessions.
Mm,
Um, but that's the difference between the counseling and
mm,
the mediation, right? And we've talked about this, many times. Um, just having that hour though of digging up garbage, getting each other excited,
mm.
getting each other all emotionally riled up, and then you have to walk away.
So
You
in
know?
conventional counseling, that's so you go for an hour at a time, right? You go for an hour,
Oh
get it
yeah.
all stirred up, and you walk away, and
Okay.
you're just in a wreck, and then you're digging. You got the
Oh
shovel in your
man.
hand, you're digging it deeper, and then you go back and you're trying to regain
Mm.
ground or start over. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the difference in that traditional counseling and mediation. How long is the mediation that you go to?
We went for a 2 day.
Yeah, 16
Mhm.
hours.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Full
Okay.
16.
So
Yeah.
I'm just for people listening, 16 hours. So
Yes.
and that wasn't all in one day. It was 2 days. You heard me say.
2 days.
So
Yeah.
so so instead of this 1 hour thing that you had tried before, we all try certain things and man, insanity, right? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. Like that ain't working. And
Yeah.
so you gave this a shot where we're going to give literally 2 days of our lives. And there is a cost associated with that, right? But people say,
Mm.
well, I don't know if I can afford that. So let's stay in hell and spend that money on a ski trip and go and hate each
Exactly.
other on our ski trip or
Exactly.
what have you. So you guys show up to the one day or it's 2 days, but for the first day, and then in traditional or conventional counseling, many times the couples come in and it's this, here they go. And it's he said, she said, and it's like, yeah, yeah, well, you did. And so isn't there something to this method where it's like, okay, you guys are going to shut up and listen?
Yep.
You're not going to get into your
Yes.
crap just yet. Like halt,
Mhm.
hold the door. So talk about that a little bit. Lindsey, do you want to share kind of how
Yeah.
that was for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, so Randy and Debbie did a good job saying like, hey, we're for your marriage, we're
Yeah.
not for one or the other of you, which was
Mm.
great.
Mm.
So it felt very unified from the beginning. And I don't know if it was because we were on pretty good terms walking in, but there wasn't a lot of he said, she said. And intentionally, the letters in the beginning, which breaks you to your absolute core and softens you in a hurry. So
Mhm.
I feel like there's just no possible way to be at each other necessarily.
Mhm.
At
So
least for
yeah,
us.
at least for us.
Yeah.
I'm sure it may be different for everybody, but
Yeah.
it was solid for us.
Excellent. Jamie,
What,
I've been
what,
talking a lot. I want to, yeah, you
well,
go
I
ahead,
was
baby.
just going to say what makes sense to me is, I think that there is a time and a place for the, 50-minute or the 1 hour, for couples who just kind of like we're working through this one issue, or we've got some big decisions to make, or we have questions and just need some guidance or help, I mean, that's I think very valuable. So there is a 100% place for that.
Mhm.
But I just kind of wanted to note that this mediation is really for couples who find themselves on that, like we were. I wish we would have had something like this
Mhm.
back in the
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
We were probably so stubborn, it would have been hard for us to really even go. But I wish we
Well, one of us will stubborn. I
um,
don't know.
but I think for couples who are just at a gridlock, like they're just like stuck and
Mhm.
they're on this hamster wheel and they've gone around and around and around, and y'all know, like I'm getting riled up just thinking about it. Like they're just there's no they're like there's like the next thing that we're going to do is be signing papers to divorce because there's
Yeah.
no way that we can make amends. There's
Yeah.
no way that we can see each other, we can't see eye to eye anymore, you know? And so I think that's where this mediation comes in, that's really valuable because of what y'all have said. You know, you have the length of time. But and where was I going with that?
The difference between the 1 hour versus the all day.
Uh, yes. Oh
Getting
gosh,
riled up.
I did. Yeah, I see. I got so riled up.
Yeah,
I
you
forgot
got
what I
excited, didn't you?
was. I
Well,
forgot
Jamie,
what.
I think you also hit the nail on the head though, also with you guys said this, I believe it was the episode that you recorded after the conference,
Hmm.
um, where it's you go to a counseling session and you're just looking through a magnifying glass, right? And it's all he said, she said. It's, well, they did this and it's and they did that and they did they yeah, they, right?
Hmm.
In this mediation, and I believe you guys mentioned it was that episode that I think it's laying down that magnifying glass and picking up that mirror,
Mm,
Hmm.
right? And so you've already done this homework, you've written this letter, and God's already started to work in you. And then in this whole mediation, like Lindsey mentioned, the mediators are very, very clear from the very beginning. We are about the marriage. We're not going to take his side. We're not going to take her
mm,
side. We're taking God's side.
mm,
And this is marriage works 100% of the time when you do it God's way, right?
mm,
And it's
mm,
Yes.
all about taking that mirror and saying, what am I contributing to this? What am I to
mm,
for my spouse to be adopting these false beliefs,
mm,
which is causing
Yeah.
this type of a reaction, right? And it's going in that cycle, right?
mm,
Constantly just looking through that magnifying glass, and it's
mm,
fight after fight after fight, like you're saying,
mm,
Jamie. And you're just in the hamster wheel.
mm.
Yeah.
That's where I think that's that
Yeah.
key also to the mediation is learning to use the right tool. Let's lay down
Mm,
the magnifying glass. Let's even just
yeah.
throw that sucker away, right?
Yeah.
Let's pick up that mirror and let's go through that think process. So yeah,
When you go through something, there's always like the book learning, there's the workbook, if you will, there's the method, the 10 steps for resolving conflict. And I remember seeing that even when we went through our Prepare and Rich, and they give you a little workbook, and you're like, oh, okay, you just kind of throw it aside. It's like, when are we in the heat of the battle going to actually pick up and let me see what steps we are in our little 10 steps for resolving conflict.
right?
But what I loved about this in the training, and I would love to hear y'all's experience. And again, I don't even want to say the title of this thing that that you employ. It's a tool that you learn to employ when you have an activating event in your marriage, because of it's the beliefs. It's the beliefs, and then the story you're telling yourselves, and then the action, and then the consequence of that, and then you get one of the foundational laws of marriage, like literally, out of alignment, right? And so, was it easy to actually put that into practice? And so you go back, and after the mediation, have you really put those things into practice? I mean, I think I know the answer, but I want everyone to hear from you guys how easy it was to apply that quote book knowledge to real life.
I'll let Lindsay tell the story, but ironically, after the first day of our mediation, we were out for dinner.
Second day.
Oh, it was the second day? Okay.
Yeah.
And we were out for dinner and then on our way back to the condo, I don't honestly, Lindsay's gonna have to tell the story, but we had to literally say, hey, we just spent so much time
And money.
and money figuring out how to break this cycle. Let's time out, let's pause. We're gonna unplug, even though we're in the car
Oh,
together. We're gonna unplug, and when
so,
we get back to the
Lindsay, will you get
condo,
out, sweetheart?
right? We're
Can you walk and think about this?
100%. We're gonna get back to the condo, and we're gonna go. We literally went through the process and wrote it down on the sheet. So
Cool.
I'll let Lindsay tell the story, but yeah, we had to
Wow.
Okay,
apply
come on.
Immediately.
it immediately.
Wow.
I am not a yeah, it was second night because on the first night we weren't supposed to talk about anything related to the mediation or anything, just enjoy a date night. So it was the second night, and I'm not a big dreamer. I'm like more of like reality type. Let's be realistic, and I kill
Yeah.
all the dreams that were ever like trying to dream. I'm like, no, not happening. So yeah, it caused some major tension, and I felt like we had been in a cycle of silence, like we would just do the silent treatment all of our marriage up until
Yeah.
this and I felt like we were getting super quiet. I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm not a dreamer. In any way, he's like, we didn't come spend all this money and time. Like, we're gonna go put this to practice. So we did.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great.
But it worked.
But it works.
It
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? We're creatures of habit. We just fall right back into the default mode, which is, and it's like, wait a minute, we just went through this, but you had to stop and unplug. Go ahead, Jane. Yeah.
I was just going to say it. I mean, I think I've noticed even us going through the training, it's helped us. Like we didn't go, like I said, I wish we would have known about mediation back. I think what it would have done is just save us years of the hamster wheel because we would have had tools to put into place. But now that we do have it, it is helping us even now. Even though we didn't go through mediation, we went through the training to become certified to be, facilitators for this. But it has helped us now, 35 years, into marriage. It's even helped us. I've noticed we've used it, a few times since our training. So I think it's cool. It just shows, and I don't know what the percentage, y'all would probably remember this, but the percentage, what is the success rate? But it is phenomenal. And so
Over 90%, they say, yeah.
okay. I thought it was, I mean, I knew it was way up there, but to see, you guys being on the brink, like we're pretty much done. And so we might as well try this. Like Brian said, a Hail Mary, and that's probably many of the couples' stories. It's not probably people don't sign up to do this. They're like, we've got a great marriage. We just need a little tune up, no, we need an overhaul. We need some help. And so I think it's really cool that you're taking like worst case scenario marriages that are like on the brink and to have such a high success rate, And I do think it does take maturity on, at least one of you, your part to, that thing is kind of etched, we've got that path that's etched in our brain, and you disagree about something, and so gloves come off immediately. You get defensive, you're prideful, you're, just arguing and fighting. And so it's at least it's going to take one of you to go, you know what, let's stop. We're going to unplug and let's do it, And so I think it's really cool to hear about the success rate, and then to see you guys sitting right here, just telling the story of what it's done in your marriage. I just think it's so inspiring.
Yeah. And what I love too is, and I'm so glad you brought up the magnifying glass versus the mirror, Brandon, because so many times, that kind of the tool or the thing you learned, like, are you really going to apply it? And sometimes you may feel it feels kind of awkward or clunky or kind of even goofy because it's like, there's no way in the heat of the battle, no way.
Yes.
But when you truly take time, it's not screw you, and I'm in my truck and I'm driving off. It's like, no, let me unplug with the intention of coming back. But during the unplug, I'm going to do the interior work. Like, God, what do you want to tell me about this? Because I'm telling myself a story that's not true. That's the deal. It's never true. And to take that time to let God speak to you, that's really this deal. And, there are people out there that may not believe in God, but they may, believe in a higher power or a divine design or the universe, whatever. Let the universe talk to you.
Right.
we believe that's God,
Yes.
Okay, well, that's fine. We could just use a different word, right? But it's crazy how, I mean, literally how easy it is to implement this tool, right? And then once you are doing that, then you're so mindful about all the other things you learned along the way.
Yeah.
One of the things, so at the training, they had, and it, y'all, you go through seasons in your marriage. I mean, Jamie and I, I don't care how long you've been married. And matter of fact, if you have been married 35 years, you've gone through, as you've heard in our podcast, hell and back and ups and downs, right?
Multiple
And
times.
and yeah, I think after 17 years, that was thank God, halfway through this thing, I think we hit another, like, okay, yeah, maybe ups and downs. It leveled out a little bit, and maybe it was up a little higher. It's like, okay, wow, we've transcended some of the stuff, but we're human, and we're male and female, and we're Enneagram 8 and 2 and Hackney Phillips and all that. And so since we're so different, that stuff is going to come out. And then, so we had just started this business, and oh my gosh, nothing like working with your spouse will bring out those differences again. And so stuff had resurfaced. But when we when we first met with the Stromans, just doing our training, part of it is going through some of the stuff yourself, right? And I remember some of the stuff baked in, like, oh, we know you guys, since you're going to be the helpers. Like, there's no way y'all would really struggle anymore. Wink, wink.
Right.
It's almost like that wink, wink, like and I'm like, oh, I see right through that. Like, no, really, we're not struggling anymore. We're really doing good. And so then when they asked us at the in-person training, hey, he pulled me aside and just said, I think it was the first night or maybe right before we started anyway, said, hey, would y'all be willing to go work through one of the tools? I don't want to say the name yet. But would y'all go through that up on stage, just kind of a mock, to show what it looks like? Sure, we'll go through it. We'll play along. And I remember thinking, like, we have nothing, and like, I don't want to contrive anything. Well, when we started talking about that, we got in the biggest fight about oh great, let's pull that one up, make me look bad, it was I could not believe it's like, there it is. But then we got up on stage and went through the thing, and then the emotions that came out, and I just think that was one of the things that you guys said you appreciated, and you could just see how people connected to that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Immediately. And that whole, and I know it was a practice, and it was kind of just to show the process.
Right.
But I mean, just goes to show, even just going through the motions, if you will, of that exercise, the intentionality of it and the purpose of it, you can't help but get emotional about it, it just it's just getting naked in front of your spouse, right? And that is it. You mentioned it earlier, Brian, and you're 100% correct. It's clunky. It feels weird. It feels so awkward, and it feels so not normal. It's like, I don't even know if I don't know if I like this, but there's some feelings there that might be good, and then before you know it, you're crying, and so it's not normal.
But it's so much better than yelling and hashing it out.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love the way that they do it, where they say, this is going to be different. This isn't going to be 8 hours or 16 hours of you just screaming back and forth. Stop.
Nope.
That's what got you here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a different way. We're gonna learn a new dance this week. Anyway, okay, I have a question. So while we were at the training with you guys, I remember, like, at first, Brandon saying, we went through this, it saved our marriage, and Lindsey just has this, and you said you're not a dreamer, but here you are dreaming. You're dreaming, big girl. Something's changing. So, Lindsey has this dream of wanting to do this. Like, it was all about she, and, I am just here to support her, whatever I can. And then y'all were pulled up to share kind of your, to share your story and just to tell a little bit. And Brian and I sat there and we were like poking each other, like, he is not just going to be playable, I'm just a support. I'm just a supporting person,
he's always late to the party, but he's coming.
I gotta make my entrance.
Because y'all were such a dream team together. It was like, I couldn't picture Lindsey without Brandon, or Brandon without Lindsey. I mean, Lindsey, you would be a rock star doing this on your own, but
Yep.
man,
You would.
like to have hit, and I feel like while we sat there at that table with you guys, that we could see Brandon going, okay, okay,
Yeah.
maybe and I think it will be a really, really powerful tool for you guys to do it together, So
Yeah.
where are you now with that, Brandon?
Yeah.
Oh, on the spot. Put him
Yeah.
on the spot.
Holy cow,
I
I didn't
see.
get prepped for this one. No, to be completely honest with you, I have noticed even me talking about it lately, my verbiage and the way I'm talking about it has changed. Uh,
Mm,
I in all transparency, actually, I just had a guy's night last night with my best friend. We're gonna start doing this once a month, just really man to man, you know, no skeletons in the closet. Let's just get naked with each
cool.
Good.
other.
Yeah.
Uh, and I told him, I said, Lindsey's been having this dream about this ministry, and I said, I've been keeping it at an arm's length and very cautious about how I'm talking about it. And I said, I've always imagined that I would be the type of person that if I felt called, like I'd go.
Mhm.
And I said, we've been watching a lot of The Chosen lately. And I said, that's what Jesus asked of the 12 disciples.
Mm.
And I was like, man, I've been I've been very hesitant. And I said, I don't know if I think it's because there's some fear there for me.
Mhm.
Mm.
Walking away um, from everything that we've worked so hard to build, you know,
Mm. Mhm.
and just into that unknown. And, there's a lot of excuses to say our life is budgeted at a certain salary. We're fairly successful for our age and
Mhm.
for our demographic and all we have a beautiful home and
Mhm.
nice cars and, we've got our life situated. It would be hard to walk away from that. But to answer your question, no, I think it would be a dream to have a ministry, you
Mm,
know, uh, like you guys,
mhm,
to be able to do something to just sacrificially give to other people,
mm,
and to be a small part of their story,
mm,
Yeah.
watch God move and
mm.
save marriages. I mean, how can you not be excited about that?
Right.
Well, what's very interesting, and
Wow.
I appreciate that candor.
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
here's what's interesting. A couple things. My brain's like now go exploding. So first of all, think about what good is it for man to gain the whole world
Right.
and it's to lose his soul, but let's say or lose his marriage. But I
Mhm.
got the cars, I got the house, I mean, I got the kids, I got the family. It's like, wait, but then I lose the
Oh,
family.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and again, that doesn't mean okay, so I've got to go into marriage ministry, but it's like
right.
y'all were struggling. And so we know those things aren't where it's at. And
Right.
once you finally figure out what is the highest value and you see that something
Mm,
saved that. So there's a passion. That's why you guys were at the training. Like, man, I want to give back. I want to and so no matter what context you do it in, you're already doing it. So Brandon, people all over the world are hearing this podcast.
Right.
And
It's
you
great.
no, and most guys are drag kicking and screaming, and
Yeah.
most guys are the ones that are walled off. Women are better nurturers of long-term relationships than men. We know this. They just come by it intuitively, and naturally, not all women, but most women, they're the ones who are, you know, at some point they are leading the emotional, and the spiritual, all the stuff of the family and of the relationship.
Yeah.
Jamie came to me today, like, hey, we need to talk, literally today, and it was like, I know we need to talk, but it's like, who's going to usually initiate that,
Yep.
right?
Oh,
In most marriages, and now I would say, thank God, I think it's maybe, I don't know, 50-50. Though Jamie, we both do it. We've
yeah.
learned to do that. But in most homes, Brandon, it's not the guy, right? And so
right.
you giving other men things you're saying that you don't even realize you're saying, like getting, naked in front of another dude, which that sounds, people, I can see taking one little clip out of this.
This got me. This is demonetized.
Yeah. No, I mean, like that's the deal. And you said it earlier. It's like, man, we've lost, being able to get vulnerable in front of our spouse, and so we've lost intimacy. And so now being able to do that with your spouse, and it's like, man, I want to do it with the dude, and there'll never be a closer relationship. The David and Jonathan, my friend John, who forever we're going to be soulmates. He called it. And we can be anywhere and not talk for years, and then we come back. There's this, man, I can tell you anything and he can tell me anything, and man, the laughter that comes, we can laugh our butts off because there's no barrier, right? So you're already doing ministry like you don't know, just from being able to tell your story. And so then, and Jamie, I want you to talk about this. So obviously we meet you guys there, and we're table mates, and we're talking and we're sharing. And then because of Lindsey's dream to not just maybe do an add-on to what you're already doing, but maybe just go out there and start this thing. And you knew, wow, you guys have started Long Haul Marriage. So all the questions, and we're like, just in front, down the road, like, oh my gosh, yeah, let me tell you, I've already paid the dumb tax on a lot of things. So we've learned the hard way. So really do want to be a resource for you guys. But then the most extravagant gift was poured out on us. And it's why we're actually having this talk tonight. So Jamie, tell everyone what they did for us.
Well, they're probably not wanting us to tell anything, but
I know, but you're getting it anyway. Yeah,
I know, but I mean, I might even get a little bit teary about it because
might.
I might. Yeah.
Take the word might away.
It was just the sweetest thing. So it was the second day, and we were all done, and we just opened up the can about long haul marriage, and we have a lot of questions, and so we were like la la la, talking as much as we could. Then it was really just we all had to go, and you guys stopped and just said, hey, what are y'all doing for Valentine's weekend? And I'm like, I don't know. We usually do this throw together this dinner for these women who Valentine's sucks for them. And so we usually try to do that, but we haven't settled on a time or whatever. And so you guys just offered and said, hey, well, we have this whole thing that we've already planned, and we were just praying, God, just send the people who are supposed to fill the gap there. And so, we're meeting for dinner on Thursday night, for Valentine's. And then we've got a couple of nights at a hotel in South Lake was it Weston? Is that the name of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The best Weston.
You got to give a hey to the Weston.
Yes. Not the best Western. It's the best Weston. It's the
best Weston.
It literally is the best Weston.
Yes.
Anyway, so a couple of nights stay there, and then going to the EXO marriage conference together. I don't know. It just touched. There we go. It touched my heart so much that you guys would offer that to us, and so I'm so thankful that we were able to. Sorry for all the ladies we didn't get to invite to our home. Maybe we'll do it another.
Yeah, sorry about that, ladies.
But
we're sorry.
We just were blown away by your generosity.
From the incredible sushi and watching a tuna get carved up on the first night,
Nico.
But then at Nico, and then when we went to what's the other one? I've already forgot. Stella. No, it came to me. And y'all indulging us at the table at Stella when we started talking, and I got, man, super emotional there just talking about stuff. I just feel, man, we love y'all so much, and I just felt like, man, thank you, God. You literally. God had his providential hand in this whole thing, and here we are. So if you had to tell some couple who is on the fence about two things, one is about going to mediation, doing an EXO marriage mediation, or coming to long haul marriage, or coming to you guys for a marriage mediation, and they're reluctant. I want you to give a commercial and sell them on why they should do it. And then I think that the other thing is just a couple who has just lost hope and they want to throw in the towel, like what would you say to them? And this is your chance to talk to people in Dubai and Canada and Norway and
No
India
pressure.
and all over the United States. No, yeah. No pressure. Just speak from your heart. What has it done for you guys, and what would you want to tell them?
You go ahead, start, Lindsey. Yeah.
Um, well, I was kind of at the point where I didn't have hope is my thing. I had a lot of hope, but I think Brandon poured a lot of non-hope into me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I truly thought it was over. That's what I went to church and said, like, Miss K, my marriage is totally over. Like, I don't know what to do. And so she provided a resource. And I'm like, if for all the women, maybe men who are totally scared to death, do it anyway. It's like just completely do it. It is worth every penny plus some. Like, just do it. Just give it a try. Like, what would it hurt to try it? And there's such a high success rate that, like, why not? So,
Yeah.
Amen.
And I love that. I mean, you could say, well, what do I have to lose? I mean, some people use time and money, but that, like, literally it's your legacy that's at stake. People they don't realize it, like, literally, they don't realize what they are losing when they lose their marriage, and how much it affects everything. Yeah. And everyone.
That I'll say, like, in the heat of the moment when my marriage was over, I knew our family was at stake of falling apart, which was scary. But at that time, it was more of fear of losing Brandon, my kids too. But now being on the other side of that is just like, it's just so proud of us for a family that's still standing together. I mean, I came from a divorced family, which has caused a lot of terrible issues.
Yes.
And I'm just like, we did it. Like, I'm just so proud of us. Like, our kids will recognize it. They get a much better mommy and daddy out of it, and it's just awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you.
So sweet.
Great. Woo. Brandon, can you top that off with a
No,
cherry
I
on
can't.
top?
To be quite honest with you.
No.
But no, just to add, we've said it, I think, a couple of times through this, this discussion. It's the reason why you are where you're at is because we're human, and we're insanity is just ingrained in us, and so we do the same thing over and over and over and expect our spouse to change, our spouse to do something different. And we put all that ownership on the spouse to do something different. And if you truly do care to save your marriage, if, like you said, Brian, there was a reason why you married this person, right? And if you can get back to remembering why you married this person and remembering that God created them for you, and to save your legacy, we have to break those cycles, get out of those habits, and learn how to do marriage God's way. And again, we talk about the statistics, but just like Jimmy Evans says all the time, marriage works 100% of the time when you do it His way. And if you can learn that and just remember that your beliefs drive everything, and what false beliefs are you falling into, and causing all these emotions, and how you're reacting instead of responding. I mean, it's a game changer. It truly.
Well, I want to say this because we're coming to the end of our time. And you guys, you said it, Lindsey, that you're proud of yourselves. We are so proud of you. And I want you to, we're so proud of you. Like, people don't do this. They don't fight. They give up. And God bless anybody who, they didn't want to give up, but their spouse did, or they were just so, like, literally depressed and anxious and despondent and hopeless that they did. And, and I know many of them would do anything to put their family back together. And sometimes it just wasn't possible, So there, hear me, no judgment at all, but I'm so proud that you didn't quit and that you actually sought this, and that God, like literally through Kay and through the Stromans and through this whole thing, you know, he's working, and you guys literally, we're so proud of you. You need, like, the world needs you. The world needs these stories. The kids who are so scared of marriage, Lindsey, because their parents divorced, their models are horrific, and so people are getting, you know, married later, if that at all, you know, now. And so yeah, I love when people can see, wait, they're doing it, and they actually look like they're happy, you know. So, but being vulnerable, being real about, you know, it's hard. So what are we going to do? We're going to do the hard work. All right. But now you have the tools to do it.
Yeah.
So, man, we're so thankful for you guys, and thank you for sharing your testimony and your story. And so, yeah, in just a second, I'm going to stop the recording, but I want you guys to hang on here. But yeah, so thank you to Kay, thank you to the Stromans, thank you EXO Marriage Mediation Training, and
thanks Hackneys. Like, you guys talk how you guys, we have blessed you guys, but you guys have, in the very, very short time that we've known each other, have truly impacted our lives and our marriage. We talk about you guys regularly. Daily. I wasn't gonna, we sound psychic.
I know Brian's back here. What are you doing? I'm texting Lindsey.
No, but you guys, you guys
No,
inspire us truly, and have impacted us. Brian, even just man to man, you inspire me. You've impacted me just from a man to man, husband to husband. You know, our dinner at Stella's will be. That's one of those core memories for me. You know, that one just, I mean, we wrecked.
Yeah.
Had other tables looking at us.
Now you're wrecking me, man. You're wrecking me now.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. But no, you guys are so special. And what you guys are doing, it's changing people's lives, and it's impacting people's lives. And so I just want to say, on behalf of the world, people in Dubai and Europe, hey, thank you for what you guys are doing. Thank you for your obedience to God, and taking that step of faith to do the long haul marriage. Your ministry, your podcast. We love listening to you guys, and we hope that this is a lifelong friendship, the four of us.
Amen.
For sure, it is. Well, Brandon and Lindsey, thank you guys, and I received that, and bless you guys. All right, we'll talk to you soon.